Hey folks, this is the Fighting Nerd and his co-host Jolly Roger coming to you from the Resistance Bunker. Sorry about no video last week. There were a couple of reasons for that. One, it was my knee-related issue. I told you before. Fell down the stairs, messed up my knee, and I had to do some things to take care of that. But also, quite frankly, I didn't have a good idea to do a video about. I did record one, and then I played it back, and it was worthless, so I didn't post it. So that's that. What I'm going to do today is nerdy and political and maybe even a little bit fighty from the Fighting Nerd. And that's the YouTube censorship. Now, I am a very new YouTuber. I think I have 5 or 6 subscribers. Thank you all very much, by the way. I know my videos are not the highest quality, but I hope the subject matter makes up for my lack of equipment, lack of experience, and lack of skill. I am trying to improve. I am really, really trying to get better equipment. But I would, as I get better at this, like the channel to grow. I would like maybe even to make a little money. But with the recent rule changes at YouTube about small subscribers and controversial content, that's probably not going to happen. You have to have like 1,000 subscribers before they can even think about monetizing you. They flag certain subjects and bury them, so even though you can upload them, they'll make sure that nobody or very little or very few people see them. Now that will affect me because of the fighting part of the Fighting Nerd. I'm going to review knives. I might review guns. I might talk about guns and knives and related issues. I'm going to talk about personal protection. I'll talk about historical weaponry. And that's not something that YouTube wants me to talk about. So, now, it hasn't really affected me much because I have a very small channel with very few subscribers. But it also makes it so my channel really can't grow and expand. So there's a guy, a Mr. Sprague, I believe, who has a YouTube channel called the Slingshot Channel. And he has a lot of subscribers. He's very popular. I highly recommend that channel, by the way. He's a mechanical genius, whether you like slingshots and bows and arrows and things like and swords and things or not. He is a mechanical genius. The things he brings out of that shop that he makes from scraps he's got lying around his backyard are miraculous. And he was one of the ones that really, the early YouTube creators, the small YouTube creators, that helped bring viewers into YouTube when it was in its infancy. I am going to link in the comments to this video, to his video, to his channel. Now, he has done a video about an organization or grassroots movement, I would guess you would call it. It's a YouTube Creators Union, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I'll link to that Facebook page and link to the video that he made about it, and let him explain it to you with much more eloquence than I can. But I'm going to get on board with this, and I'm going to talk about it because it's vitally important, not just to people who do YouTube, not people that watch YouTube, but to everybody that lives in any country that purports to be a representative republic, like the United States. Not a democracy, folks. The United States is a representative republic. I leave it to you to look up the difference between those two. But in a representative republic, the free discourse and dissemination of ideas is absolutely vital. That's why it is the First Amendment of the Constitution that guarantees that. But what has happened with YouTube, which is owned by Google, is that they are trying to arbitrate what information gets disseminated, whether information gets disseminated is truthful, and whether that information can be used to sell advertising. Now the third one, that's up to them, I suppose, but not really. But the first two, if we get into a situation where a corporation is the arbiter of truth, where a corporation decides what is fake news and what is real news, or what is controversial, or what is socially beneficial or socially damaging, then we have ceased to have a representative republic. Because we're going to have a corporation determining our freedom of speech, our freedom of association. And that's a dangerous thing. Now, I could go on about the politics of it, because with the governments and the corporations, especially the big investment bankers, are not really a different entity anymore. They are parts of the whole, and we are dangerously close to becoming a corporate government, a corporatocracy, if you will. And it's starting with YouTube, because what they're saying is that the CNNs, the NBCs, the ABCs, the Washington Posts of the world are the only people that can go out there and find out what's going on in the world and report it to you. And if an individual does it, like say Tim Pool, another excellent channel, go check him out. That's not real news, because it doesn't come from some corporate entity or a government that's owned by a bank or a corporate entity. We can't let this happen. YouTube is a private business, and it has the right to set any policy it wants. But we can also treat it as a private business and deny it our patronage if it does something that displeases us, or if it ceases to do what it promises to do for the consumer or for its partners. Now, they call the people that make money on the internet partners, because YouTube provides an infrastructure. The content providers upload content, people watch the content, and they see the ads, and the ads are paid for. I don't have to worry about that yet. But the thing is this: they are burying the little content creators that made them great. Those kind of content. When YouTube was embryonic, that was what made YouTube fantastic. It took the mass dissemination of information and gave it to the masses for the first time. It's bigger than the invention of the printing press. It's bigger than radio. Now, yeah, YouTube is full of kittens and puppies and morons riding bikes off their roof. But YouTube and internet in general has made it much harder for the powers that be, the big investment bankers, the mega corporations, our elected officials, to get away with all the shit that they've been getting away from. It's starting to take away their ability to keep secrets. And that's why they want it destroyed. So if you think you don't watch programs like the Slingshot channel or Tim Pool's news channel, or you don't watch InfoWars, they're coming after InfoWars in a big way. Alex Jones and InfoWars can go over the top. But in general, they never ever just make stuff up. They exaggerate a great deal. They don't just make stuff up. But then you have Dan Blather making stuff up. Brian Williams making stuff up. And there was a guy back in the 90s, I can't remember his names, that actually faked a test to blow up a pickup truck, to blame, I think it was a Ford, don't mention on that, but they actually faked a test to prove, so they can do an expose on how Ford pickup trucks are going to blow up, or some kind of pickup truck. Right. So these guys are they have demonstrated that they just make stuff up. But they're the ones that YouTube is now giving priority to, and places like them when it comes to news. And then there are things like the Slingshot channel. He takes junk and makes really cool stuff out of it. And he is not going to use this stuff to harm anyone. He just goes out and has fun with it. You have gun channels. One of my favorites is the Yankee Marshal. Or, he's kind of my internet friend, Mayor Fuglycool. They're going after them because they do guns and they do knives. And they deal with areas of personal protection. And those channels have been decimated. And I dare say even other than the overall poor quality of my videos, and I'll admit that. And the fact that I tend to ramble. I dare say I would have at least a few more subscribers if I didn't have the knife stuff. I noticed very quickly when I did the nerd stuff, a review of Shadowhunters, or a review, or my video about why the Arrowverse on television is so much better than any of the DC comic movies. I get a lot more hits on those. Now, yeah, that's less of a niche audience, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But just the fact that they say, okay, we don't want you to hear about guns. We don't want you to hear about knives, even if they're in a historical context. Again, that's dangerous in a representative republic. So what, and I'm not going to try to say his name too much because I can't remember it very well and I'd probably butcher it anyway. But the guy that runs the Slingshot channel has started the YouTube Creators Union. There's going to be a link to his video and a Facebook video and a Facebook page that he started. Because YouTube is a giant corporation. It's owned by a ginormous corporation called Google. And it wants to do business with other gigantic corporations like CNN and whoever owns it. The Wall Street Journal, NBC, all of that. And they're ginormous corporations, and they have a lot of power. And right now, because all the little YouTubers are backed into a corner and hiding under their beds in fear of the giant YouTube and his big buddy Google, they're going to do what they want because we're powerless. But the Slingshot channel guy has a great idea. Union. Organizing all of these little creators, and even the minuscule creators like myself, right, to lobby and cajole and harass and deal with YouTube as a group. Millions and millions of us. Amen, brother. Preach it. So, if you are a creator and you haven't heard about this, check out the video, go to the Facebook page, sign up. If you're thinking about becoming a YouTube creator, make yourself a channel, watch the video, go to the YouTube page, sign up. even if you're not a creator and you just want to watch YouTube and you like the alternative viewpoints and alternative subject matter that you will not see on mass television or read in mass news or see anywhere else. If you want the private citizen to be able to go out there and take place in the great dialogue of civilization, watch the video, go to the Facebook page, sign up, and when he calls to action on the Facebook page, answer the call. We have to unite, because this goes way beyond YouTube. It's the entire internet. Twitter is censoring. Facebook is censoring. Right? Google has been known to skew search engines away from subjects that they don't want you to know about. They've knuckled under in China. Right? The internet has potential to do a lot of bad things. It can socially isolate people. It can radicalize people, and from one political bent to another. But as I said before, it also makes it hard for the worms in DC and in Wall Street and the powers that be of any political stripe. It makes them harder for them to get away with their shit. We have to become more involved. We have to know what's going on, and the internet is the best way of doing that. And there's crap on the internet. You've got, white supremacists and black power people, new age crystal worshippers and flat earthers. But you know what? They're allowed to think that, and they're allowed to try to convince others to come around to their way of thinking. As long as they don't go out and harm anybody, as long as they don't tell anybody or facilitate the harm of someone, they go out and tell anybody to go out and harm somebody or facilitate the harm of somebody, they can hate who they want, and they can talk about that hate. And anytime that the government or a corporation tells them they can't and forces them to stop, or shouts down their speech or censors their speech, the entire republic is harmed. Okay, now that's my rant. I do want to tell you before I go that I have just opened a new Minds account other than my normal account with my name, personal account. It is called The Fighting Nerd over at Minds. I will also put a link there to it. From this point on, any video I post to YouTube is also going on Minds, because I think YouTube is going to be in a crisis very soon. Either they are going to censor everybody to the point where there is nothing worth watching on YouTube that you can't get off TV or other legacy media, or the major creators, the people that made it great, the small creators, and the people that watch YouTube are going to get fed up with their crap and just stop watching. It can happen. Eventually, someone's going to come up with an alternative to YouTube, because right now they're a monopoly, and they're throwing their weight around because they are. Virtual monopoly. They're not a total monopoly, obviously. But for all intents and purposes, they're a monopoly. And they're acting like it. But nothing lasts forever. When you're on top, sooner or later someone's going to knock you off. And I think there's a potential for a huge fall if YouTube doesn't get its act together. Remember their roots. All right. What do you think, guys? Comment below. Check me out on Minds. Just remember that words make history. Hopefully, the next video will be on schedule on a Saturday. It will be something to do with the fighting part of the Fighting Nerd. Don't know what that's going to be yet. But again, remember, words make history. This is the Fighting Nerd and his co-host, Jolly Roger, bidding you good night from the Resistance Bunker.